My name is Redwan Hamza. I am the chair of the Oromia Human Rights and Justice Council. It's a small non-profit organization formed in 2008 to advocate for the rights of the Oromo people and others in Ethiopia, primarily documenting human rights abuses in Ethiopia and in neighboring countries. We have a lot of Oromos in refugee camps in Kenya, Somalia, Djibouti, Sudan, and so forth. So from time to time, the Ethiopian security forces crosses into the border of those neighboring countries and forcefully return those refugees to Ethiopia and subsequently imprison them, kill them, and detain them for extended period of time, or most of them were disappeared. So we are documenting those kind of activities and pass it to the human rights organizations, to the government of the Western countries, and to track what's going on with Oromos. Land grab issue in Africa is a major issue now. It is not a form of colonial or known as a colonial issue, but it is with the agreement of the existing African government. They are leasing this land in the name of development to countries or to big agricultural conglomerate companies from India, Saudi Arabia, China, and some other neighboring countries from Nigeria and so forth. So this is a land that is given away by weak African government to sell them or lease them in the name of development. But even though any of the produces, any of the things that they produce in those countries are not really for that market, they are for export. For example, in the case of Ethiopia, Ethiopia needs about, every year at least, about 13 million Ethiopians need food aid. While food aid, truckloads of food aid coming to Ethiopia, anything that is produced by these investors, in the name of investors, that are using this land leased from the government by evicting indigenous people, they are selling this product or anything that they produce to in the community market, which is overseas, India, China, Saudi Arabia, and so forth. So nothing is actually sold in Ethiopia, even though truckloads of food aid is coming. On the other hand, truckload of locally produced food supplies are leaving the country. So it is not to benefit the local people. Actually, what they do is they come and they take this land and pretty much enslaved the indigenous people for working for them by taking away their lands and sheltering them in the area where they built this hundreds of thousands of acres of land. They lease the land for gold mining and other mineral resources, and that is what they have been doing in most of Africa. But especially the land grab, especially looking for fertile land, since the economic crisis of 2008 or the food shortage of 2008, a lot of foreign investors looking for fertile land to farm in poor areas where they can easily have that accessible land that they can take over within a very short time and farm for as much as they want and export those foods to the global demand. So it's not only the farm, as you said, it is for the produce, but it is also the minerals that's underneath the ground. At this point, the Oromo people really don't have any voice. The government of Ethiopia that is in charge since 1991 is an authoritarian minority government. So pretty much, or the Oromo people have no saying in the government of Ethiopia. That has been for over 100 years. So Oromos have been marginalized, not only the Oromos, but the southern people in general, the southern people in Ethiopia, in southern Ethiopia, are marginalized, and they have no saying in the running of the country. So either for land grab or for any other thing, anything that is organized in the name of Oromo are illegal in Ethiopia. Most of the political parties in Ethiopia are illegal to organize. So most of the Oromo or genuinely Oromo movement have been determined an illegal movement, and most of the leaders are expelled from the country, or most of them are in jail. So the Oromos are not really, they are not organized at this point within Ethiopia, but there are major movement outside of the Ethiopia to let what's going on, to let the international community know what's going on about the Oromos, about what's going on in Ethiopia in general. Well, most of these people are not, to begin with, they are not organized. They go to the most remote part of Ethiopia, and they take this land away from them. When they take away the land from them, the government kind of pull them together, create what's called a villagization, where everybody is moved to some area where there is no resources, there is no water, there is no school, there is nothing. And these people are left alone to fend for themselves, where their way of life is completely destroyed, and that's what they know is no longer there. And sometimes those people who took away the land, they hire these people for $50 to $1 a day and work for them as slaves almost. So, but these are very, very poor, remote, from very remote part of the country, so they're not very organized. They don't have a voice for them to organize and to let the government know. Even if the government knows, the government is actually in collaboration with this. They are the ones that are leasing this land to the companies that are coming to invest in Ethiopia. So either way, one way or the other, even if they are organized, they are determined to be illegal in the country. So the voice is not heard. Ethiopia is in itself actually 85% of the Ethiopian population lives in the rural part of Ethiopia. Of that, Oromos are about 45%, or between 40 and 45% of the Ethiopian population, and most of them live in a rural part of the country. And what they grow is, they grow a very traditional barley, sorghum, and a very indigenous crops that for local consumption that they grow. So, the way is very changed right now, and most of them are moving from region to region forcefully by the government. Some of them are even going into a different region where there is a different non-Oromos live, and that actually invites a conflict between Oromos and others. Sometimes they bring other people from other region to Oromo region and force people to give up their land, and that always invites conflict. And there is a major conflict within among the Oromos and other tribes that have been living side by side together for a long time, and the government actually doing that on purpose to make sure that they always create instability in the country, and so that people are not organized in a way that would threaten maybe the government's repressive way of governing the country. And that is the tactic that they use. What we are doing is that, one, I think the Ethiopian government, without the foreign aid, cannot sustain itself. Particularly, Ethiopia receives about $3 billion a year from Western donors. The biggest donor is the United States. Ethiopia actually receives the highest foreign aid of any African country from the United States every year. What we are trying to do from the Oromia Human Rights and Justice Council is that to let the US government know that the atrocities that the Ethiopian government commits against its people is known, one. by exposing that atrocity, I think the US government and other Western donors can do a lot, because if they are making the funds that is provided to the Ethiopian government, the aid money, conditional on the improvement of human rights, that can go a long way. We know for sure that they can do that. But I think the issue now here is Ethiopia is also sits in a very strategic location in the Horn of Africa. Because of the instability in Somalia, because of the instability in Sudan, in Djibouti, and other neighboring countries, the Western governments are looking at Ethiopia as a partner in fight against the global terrorism. Every time they want something that they want to do in that region, Ethiopia is the person, is the go-to person for them. So they look away when the Ethiopian government is selling the lands, when the Ethiopian government is expelling opposition leaders, imprisoning, killing them, and doing all those atrocities for the past 21 years. They look away. Our goal here is to make sure that they are aware that the government that they have as a friend is also the government that is killing, torturing, expelling people, any dissenting voice from Ethiopia. So if we can make, if our appeal can make a difference, I think we should start with our representative here in the US and make sure that they are aware of this thing. If they want to, they can really stop it. All they have to do is make their aid money, make the billions of dollars of taxpayers' money that Ethiopian government receives every year conditional on the improvement of human rights. We are not asking the US government or other foreign donors to stop supporting the people of Ethiopia. The people of Ethiopia needs foreign aid, need the support they can. But all we are asking, don't make this blanket check available to Ethiopian government unless they have improved human rights, basic human rights. We are not asking for a whole lot. We are just asking for basic improvement of human rights. One of the things that the investors or the people who are coming to farm in this mechanized way of farming is that they are using a non-indigenous seeds and a lot of fertilizers for a very short time gain, and this would actually result in creating a major environmental disaster for the long run, for the long time to come. One of the things is that they are not really using any environmental protection or any proactive measure to protect the lakes, the rivers, the drinking waters, and so many surrounding areas that the people will sustain people for a long time. So one of the major issues actually that would result in this land grab is that they will probably completely destroy the ecosystem of the indigenous people. As I said, the lakes and the rivers and the valleys that people have so much depended for thousands of years may not be there once they are done with their farming and they go back to or look another place to farm. So that's one other concern that we have that we wanted to raise with the international community. The World Food Program, especially the Auckland Institute, one of the organizations that is advocating on behalf of the poor, are predicting that this kind of ecosystem destruction will be catastrophic for most African countries. In Ethiopia alone, about 1.8 million people have been displaced from their indigenous land into different parts of the country, into villagizations and so forth. And those people, once they leave, they're coming back to that land they know, the land that they lived on may not be known. So it's not only creating environmental crisis, it also creates a cultural, it also creates or destroys culture, language, and way of life. So this is something that the international community need to look into it, and it is the impact is not known right now, but it will be felt in the future.